Hi guys, welcome back to the Tech Diary. This is my second channel where I take forever to get to the point, although today I will get to the point a little bit quicker because this is a sponsored video. But before you disappear and click the close button and go and watch something else or call me a shill in the comments, occasionally we will do sponsored videos on this channel, but I promise you have my word, as on the main channel, that it will only be products that I absolutely want to recommend. This isn't a review, you can't do a sponsored review, but it's a recommendation for something, and it's the Notta. Let me get the name right, that would be handy, wouldn't it? The Notta, I do know what it's called, obviously, it's the Notta Memo. I've been using it for the last couple of weeks, so I should know what it's called. Anyway, it's this, and the reason this is interesting is because it's AI based, and if you know me, and I'd guess you probably do if you're watching this channel, otherwise why would you watch this channel? You may be aware that I'm not a massive fan of AI. That's a bit unfair, actually. I like AI that do AI. I hate saying it as well. AI. I hate artificial intelligence that is just there for show or as a you know what contest between brands. That bores the you know what's off me. It's very dull and very irritating, and at the moment incredibly overwhelming. There's so much AI stuff out there on smartphones, on laptops, on earbuds, on all this stuff, and a lot of it isn't much use at all. It's just brands showing off. Occasionally though, some stuff comes along AI based that is actually very useful. One example of that is ChatGPT. ChatGPT, if you use it correctly and if you don't rely on it completely, because it does just make stuff up occasionally, it can be very useful if you run a business and you want to speed certain processes up. We use it all the time behind the scenes here, and it's fantastic. The other thing that I find very, very useful is AI stuff that helps me remember things and helps me during meetings, because I don't know about you, but I'm terrible when, for example, in terms of taking notes. I'm awful at taking notes. I can't read my handwriting anymore, and I'm just not quick enough. I've never been good at doing that. Secondly, I have this awful thing where I have an idea and I think it might be a good idea, but at that time I'm doing something and I think, right, okay, that's a brilliant idea. I'll make a note of it in a second, carry on doing the thing that I'm doing, and then lo and behold, I've forgotten that thing immediately. And then I spend 10, 15 minutes sitting there thinking, what was it? And going back through the thought process and just not getting anywhere, basically, and forgetting that thing. So it's those two elements of my life that have always been a problem, and AI has come along and made a massive difference with that. And the reason it's made a massive difference is because of transcription and the ability for devices and software to listen to what I'm saying without me having to note anything down and put it into something and then let me do things with it. As simple as that. And Notta have been around for a little while, actually. They are behind a piece of software which does all that stuff. It transcribes meetings, it gives you notes afterwards and all that. This isn't unique. There's a lot of services like that. However, what Notta have done recently is introduce this, which is it's a hardware recorder. That's basically what this is. If you are of a certain generation, you could consider this to be a little bit like a portable tape recorder. I'm really showing my age now. But if you think of a recorder where you'd speak into it, or you'd put it on the desk while you're having a meeting with someone, and it would just kind of sit there and record the audio. That is what this does. That is the basics of this. But it's incredibly thin. Look how thin it is. It's ridiculous. It's basically roughly, it's a little bit thicker than a credit card. So it's very, very thin. And the idea is that you use this to be the recorder. So this records your telephone call or your meeting or just your thoughts or whatever. And then that syncs with the app, the Notta app on your phone. And from there, you have the transcription of that meeting or whatever it might be, and you can do lots of clever stuff with it, and it's all there. It's just, you don't forget about it. Now, what you might be thinking is, why do I need yet another thing? Because you have to charge this, obviously, and it's another thing to carry around, although they do have a way of carrying it around, which I'll show you in a second, which is very, very convenient, let's put it that way. why not just use your phone? Because yes, you could use your phone. In fact, I've been doing that until I started using the Notta. I have just used my phone, used various transcription recording services, or even the built-in Notes app on the iPhone or Samsung or whatever to record meetings and stuff. Yeah, you can do that, obviously, but the battery can run out on this. You can get notifications. I've had so many instances, particularly with iOS, I'm afraid, where the recording hasn't worked, or it's stopped halfway through, or I've had it even when an iOS software update has interrupted this. It's just not... as soon as that happens, you might be like me, if that happens, if that thing stops working as it should, I don't trust it ever again. I struggle with that. So the fact that this has one job, which is to record your meeting or whatever it might be, it doesn't have anything else to do. It doesn't update itself. It doesn't run apps in the background. It's just a recorder. It's basically some storage with a mic on it, and that's it, basically. That makes it so much more reliable. It's as simple as this. In fact, let me start transcribing. Let me start recording this particular, it's not a meeting, is it? But this video. So there's a button at the top here. If I press and hold that, that's now recording. You can see there's a little kind of recording thing up there, which is just to indicate that it's recording. I can leave that on the desk, and there we go. It's done. I haven't got to worry about it. It's just there. If you're wondering, I have made a note of this. It's got 32 gig of storage, which is a lot of storage, and the battery life is pretty bonkers. It's got 28 days of standby, which you do not get with a phone, even on Android, and 36 hours of recording. So I could stand here now. I won't, don't worry. But I could stand here now for 36 hours and talk, and it would just be fine, which is great. And it charges in 1.5 hours, an hour and a half, which is, again, convenient. So there you go. It's just recording, and I won't talk for 36 hours, I promise. Where is this useful? Well, I've made a few notes here. The two things that I love about this, from my perspective, are meetings. So we do have a few meetings in this business. We've tried to cut them down as much as we can, but we do have to talk about video production and events and stuff. So we do have weekly calls on, not Zoom. I nearly said Zoom. We don't use Zoom. We use Google stuff. So we sit there and we talk about things. And yes, we can use Gemini to take the recording. However, when Gemini records stuff, and it does it very well, to go back to that stuff, I have to go into my Google account, into my Google Workspace account, find the meeting, find the Gemini notes. And as good as they are, they're just way too far away for me to even think about. So the number of times I go back into Gemini notes is very rare, because I just don't have the time or the inclination, I just can't be bothered, basically. So using this instead, and I can just put that on the table over there while I'm having the meeting with the team, and it's aware of different people, obviously. So if I start talking, then James starts talking, and then Max and Niall, etc. It's aware of different people in the conversation, so I don't have to worry about that. But it's just on this device, and then I attach it all happens via Bluetooth. I go into the Notta app on my phone. It automatically syncs across that particular meeting recording, and then in the background it transcribes it, does all that clever stuff without me even thinking about it. And the crucial thing is, to get back into those notes, those meeting notes, I just go into the Notta app on here. It's so easy. It's so many less steps than trying to find those Gemini notes. It's just so much quicker. The other thing is those thoughts that come up throughout the day. And this is, again, it might show my age a little bit, but this is where something like the Notta Memo is so addictive to use, because it becomes this kind of personal, it's like an assistant that follows you everywhere, who can just take notes for you. And if you're driving, for instance, and you suddenly think, ooh, that's a great video idea, I can hit record without having to do anything that could disturb my driving. Hit record on the Notta Memo and just dictate into it, talk about stuff. Yes, you can do this on your phone, you can do it into Apple Notes, and if that works for you, fine. This may not be for you at all, which I completely understand. And I'd love to know in the comments, actually, if this isn't for you, what kind of stuff do you use? Or again, if it is for you, let me know how you would use it. But for me, I've just found that the ability to have this little device on my person all the time, on my person, weird way of saying that, I think that is grammatically correct, though, isn't it? Anyway, to have it with me all the time in the car, for instance, when those little bits of inspiration and things strike, it's great. And I had this suddenly a huge backlog of all these ideas and things which are stored in the Notta app. It's so useful. I don't forget those things. Or if I'm stood over there doing some filming on the overhead rig and suddenly think of something that I need to do tomorrow, I can just make a note of it on Notta really quickly. The other things I've made a note of that you might find this useful for, if you go to lectures, if you're a student, for instance, then I think they'd be very, very useful for that. They're very handy if you get involved in any kind of briefings. So if you go to a briefing for something, whether it be a lecture or if it be a media thing or whatever it is in your industry, brilliant. You just leave that on the table and let the person talk. Well, you let them talk anyway. The person starts talking, their voice goes into that. Happy days. Interviews. I don't do any interviews really. I suppose we interview people on the Not PC podcast. If you haven't checked that out, by the way, guys, go and check it out. Not PC. It's on YouTube with myself and Rob. If you interview people either for recruitment or for a podcast, whatever it might be. I suppose a podcast, you're recording it anyway, aren't you? Podcast is a bad example, but or maybe you work in the film and TV industry. Brilliant. You could use it for that. If you're interviewing Brad Pitt, for instance. Those were the main ideas that I came up with in terms of how you'd use the Notta Memo. Have I called it the note throughout? I hope I haven't. These sponsored videos are very different to the ones that we do on the main channel as well. And these brands know that. This is very much an off-the-cuff thing. But it's nice, actually, to talk about something without a script and just with a few notes that I've made about it while I've been using it. Right, the key features of the Notta Memo. Again, I do need to refer to these because I'm doing this off the cuff. I can't remember everything because as I've described today, my brain is useless. It has two ways of recording. So it has this way, which is just what it's doing now. It's just recording this particular one-way conversation. The other way you can do it, I won't change it now because it's recording, is there's a little switch here, and if you flick that up, it goes into phone call recording mode. And that is where this comes in. So you might have been wondering, where do I put this? Because it's just another thing to carry around. And yes, you could just put it in your wallet, for instance, but you do get this rather nice little wallet slipcase thing with the Notta Memo. And it just, as you would guess, goes into there. And as you would guess, it's MagSafe compatible. Happy days. So if you have an iPhone, or if you have, I can show you this now because by the time this video goes out, the embargo will have lifted. If you have a new Pixel series phone, a new Pixel 10, 10 Pro, 10 Pro XL, whatever, 10 Pro Fold, excuse the D brand skin on this, anyway, this is the 10, the regular Pixel 10, that has Pixel Snap, which, amazing, it's got its own version of MagSafe, even though it's not MagSafe, it's Pixel Snap, but I still find this mesmerizing. The fact that that's not an iPhone, I haven't got a case on it, and it has the ability to accept MagSafe accessories. Amazing. Anyway, I've gone way off piste with that. The Notta Memo is MagSafe compatible once it's in its little slipcase thing. It's very nice, by the way. It should weather a little bit, I think. Oh, on the subject of weathering, they do mention in the packaging that the Memo itself will pick up some bumps and scrapes along the way, but they kind of make note of the fact that you should embrace that. It's endearing. It shows that you're using it. Again, it adds to this whole personal thing where it's yours, and yes, it's been smashed around a little bit, and a bit like your car, you've got there's little scrapes and things here and there which just tell a bit of a story. They do make a note of that in here, which I think is quite nice. It makes it a bit more, it makes it less digital and just cold. I think it makes it something more interesting. And the same thing with that, I would guess this will wear quite nicely. Anyway, going back to what I was saying. So once you flick that switch up and place this onto your phone, it uses, is it haptics? I think it's bone conduction technology. So very similar to what you have with bone conducting headphones that kind of sit on your ear here and don't go into your ear canal. They use the vibrations. They vibrate onto your bones, basically, so you can hear the music. Very similar with this. So it uses bone conduction technology to listen to the telephone call that you're having and transcribe it. So it makes it more accurate. I'm not clever enough to know how that works, but it does work. Trust me, I've tried it, and it's amazing. It can listen to your telephone calls. So they're the two ways you can use it. It does have noise reduction as well. So if you're in a very busy coffee shop or whatever, it will do a very good job of blocking out the external noise and just listening to your voice. It's got charging, as you would guess, which, if you're wondering, the only thing I'd say about the Notta Memo is that it is a little bit tricky sometimes to get out of this case, but that's good in a way because it means it won't ever come out by mistake. But also, there's no reason to take it out really, because once it's in there, it's just going to sit on the back of your phone mainly, and equally, you can still charge it. So there's a little charging thing here on the Notta Memo itself, and there's a cutout on within the wallet thing to help you to ensure that you can still charge it, basically. So that's all good. One tap sync, as I mentioned earlier. You don't really have to do anything. You just open the app and it just starts syncing, and that's it in terms of the main features. It's really straightforward. Pricing we will put down below because it is different for each region, but it is, I think, very reasonable for what this thing does. There's a monthly subscription that you can pay for annually, which brings the cost down. The cost of this isn't particularly bad either. It's a really nice little package, and like I say, it's finally, not finally because there have been other examples of this, but it's one last example, I think, of AI for me at the moment that works, that does something that is genuinely useful. AI bothers me. I was having a chat with a friend yesterday about this, and we were both saying that we're both a little bit scared of AI. We're a bit scared of where it could go, what it means for our industry, for our respective industries, and all this stuff. And we kind of finished the conversation on a positive note, which was talking about things like this and saying, look, there is some really good stuff about AI. AI does speed things up, and as I've described today, hopefully, things like this, like the Notta Memo, do make your life a bit easier. And crucially, they ensure that you don't forget things, which, if you're anything like me, is a big deal because I've got an awful memory. I can't remember what I did last week at all. Although last week I was in a secret location, and I did my thoughts on the Pixel 10 from that location. I asked you guys to guess where it was, and it was Berlin. Most of you got it. There were some very interesting guesses. A lot of people thought I was in America somewhere, which was interesting, but it was definitely Berlin. I'm going back to Berlin, fun enough, next week, so I'll be there again. And that means I've probably given away where I am next week if I do the whole. Because I'll do the newsletter, this newsletter tech diary video from Berlin next week. So if I then say, where am I? I've given it away already. What am I talking about? I'm waffling now. So I did so well with this video. There wasn't much waffling in this video at all until now. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you've got this far in this video, because it's been sponsored, and I know people don't like that, but like I said at the start, we will keep these very few and far between on the Tech Diary, but occasionally I want to feature stuff like this. It's different as well. It's been nice today not talking about a phone. I'll be completely honest with you. Even though we've got the iPhone event coming up, and the Pixel 10 I think is one of the best phones you can buy at the moment, they are still phones, and I talk a lot about phones, so talking about something completely different is quite refreshing. So thank you so much if you've listened and watched this far, because it means an awful lot. If you have done that and you haven't hit subscribe yet, you know what to do. We'll put all the links and stuff about the Notta Memo in the description down below. And yeah, get involved in the comments. Let me know what you think about this kind of product, and whether you'd use it or whether you've got different solutions for that. And also, what AI products and software do you use daily or weekly? What are you relying on in terms of AI? I find this interesting. Get involved. Let me just stop this recording. Done. Go into my Notta app, as I have done, and immediately, there we go, it's syncing. Nice. I won't listen to it again, but it's there. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next week. Cheers.